Nobody imagined that a single meeting would trigger a storm of reactions, jealousy, admiration, and fear. But once the footage leaked, it didn't just change the conversation, it changed the entire perception of who Alex Eala was becoming. Before the internet exploded,
The passport that could cost the Philippines its greatest tennis superstar ever. And nobody is talking about it.
before the tennis world splintered into chaos, Alex Eala was already standing at the edge of something extraordinary. The young Filipina star had spent years...
Let me tell you something that is going to completely change the way you look at Alex Eala's story. Because what you are about to hear is not a feel-good sports story. It is not another highlight reel of a young Filipino girl living out her dreams on the grandest courts in the world. What you are about to hear is the story behind the story. The invisible fight that Alex Eala battles every single week. A fight that has nothing to do with forehands, serve speeds, or opponent rankings. It is a fight that happens in embassy waiting rooms, on phone calls with visa offices, and in the agonizing silence of watching tournament opportunities disappear in real time. And the scariest part of all? The Philippines has already been through this exact nightmare before, with another superstar, and the country lost that one. So the question every Filipino fan needs to be asking right now is simple. Are we about to lose Alex Eala the same way? Before we go any further, let us just take a moment to absorb how absolutely insane the Alex Eala phenomenon has become in 2026. This is a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines, a country that had never produced a top-level professional tennis player before she came along. And she is not just competing at the highest level, she is generating the kind of attention that the sport's biggest names cannot match. We are talking about a player who, during the Australian Open, held a pre-match press conference that pulled in more YouTube views than press conferences featuring Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, and Daniil Medvedev combined. Let that sink in for a second. Four of the most famous names in men's tennis, legends of the sport, global superstars with massive fan bases and decades of combined career achievements, and one young woman from the Philippines outpaced all of them together on YouTube. That is not a fluke. That is a phenomenon. And it does not stop there. A simple behind-the-scenes day-in-the-life video filmed during her time at Indian Wells in 2026 exploded across social media, becoming one of the most viewed YouTube uploads the tournament had ever produced. Sky Sports presenter Gigi Salmon, one of the most respected voices in tennis broadcasting, went on record to suggest that Alex Eala may already be the biggest rising star in all of women's tennis. Tennis journalist John Wertheim, a man who has covered this sport for decades and has seen every kind of talent come and go, was visibly stunned by her numbers. He openly admitted that what she was doing online was unlike anything he had seen from a player at her ranking level. Coco Gauff, one of the reigning queens of the WTA Tour, personally thanked Alex Eala for bringing an entirely new demographic to the sport. Jessica Pegula, another American superstar, went on the record to praise the way Eala packs stadiums and handles the weight of an entire nation's expectations with maturity and grace. These are not polite diplomatic compliments. These are genuine acknowledgments from the sports elite that something extraordinary is happening. And yet, despite all of that, despite the viral press conferences, the packed arenas, the endorsement deals, the historic rankings, and the global attention, there is a conversation that almost nobody in mainstream tennis media wants to have. A conversation about the single biggest obstacle standing between Alex Eala and the career she is capable of having. A conversation about a small blue booklet that is costing her opportunities, affecting her ranking, limiting her commercial potential, and threatening to quietly erode everything she has worked her entire life to build. We are talking about the Philippine passport. And before you roll your eyes and think this is just some political argument or an exaggerated complaint, stay with me, because the numbers tell a story that is absolutely jaw-dropping. Here is where we need to start, because this one statistic reframes everything you think you know about Alex Eala's career. The Philippine passport, as of the latest Henley Passport Index rankings, sits at approximately 75th place among 199 passport-issuing nations in the world. What that means in practical terms is that a Filipino citizen can travel visa-free or with a visa on arrival to roughly 65 to 67 countries and territories on Earth. 65 to 67. Now let us compare that to where the elite of professional tennis are coming from. Germany's passport unlocks nearly 194 countries with zero hassle. France sits above 190. The United Kingdom is in the same elite bracket. Japan, which is relevant to this story in a very painful way that we will get to shortly, sits near the very top of the global passport power rankings, with access to almost every country on the planet. Even Singapore, a small city-state sitting right next door to the Philippines in Southeast Asia, has passport access to almost the entire world. And Alex Eala, the most followed rising star in women's tennis, the woman who is packing stadiums and breaking YouTube records, has access to around 65 countries. That number is not just a statistic, it is the wall that follows her everywhere she goes. Think about what that means on a practical level for a professional tennis player. The WTA calendar is brutal. It stretches across dozens of tournaments every single year, spread across countries on every continent. And a significant portion of those tournaments are held in countries that require Filipinos to apply for visas in advance. Every single Grand Slam host nation, Australia, France, the United Kingdom, and the United States, requires her to go through the full visa application process before she can even set foot on tournament grounds. China, which hosts major events during the Asian Swing and is one of the most important stops on the calendar, also requires advanced visa processing. Tournament after tournament after tournament, Alex Eala is filling out forms, booking embassy appointments, submitting documentation, and waiting, always waiting, while her European and American counterparts simply book a flight and go. And here is where it stops being a political talking point and becomes a cold, hard competitive disadvantage with real consequences for her career. Professional tennis is a sport of constant adaptation. Schedules change overnight. Players withdraw due to injury. Wildcard spots open up with 48 hours notice. Opportunities appear and disappear faster than most people can respond. In this environment, travel flexibility is not just convenient. It is a competitive weapon. A player with an unrestricted passport who gets a last-minute call about a wildcard entry can book a flight, pack a bag, and be on a court within a day. Alex Eala cannot always do that. If the destination requires a visa she has not already arranged, that wildcard spot goes to someone else. Those ranking points that would have moved her up the chart, that match experience that would have sharpened her game, those moments of momentum that can change the trajectory of a season, gone. Not because she is not good enough, not because she does not want to play, but because of a passport with a number on it that she never chose and cannot change without consequences that go far deeper than tennis. Alex Eala herself has spoken about this openly and honestly, which is something that deserves enormous respect. In a virtual press conference following her breakthrough run at the Miami Open in 2025, she laid it out plainly. She said that what she finds most challenging is being able to travel with flexibility, that as a tennis player, you need to be very flexible with your schedule, that you are going to make a lot of last-minute choices, and that the visa process does not allow her the time to organize everything every single time. She was not complaining. She was not making excuses. She was stating a fact that is built into the architecture of her career, a structural reality that shapes every decision she and her team make about scheduling, tournament selection, and long-term planning. She even said the quiet part out loud at a press conference in 2025, that there are tournaments she wants to play but cannot enter because of these restrictions. Not because she lacks the ranking, not because she lacks the desire, because of paperwork, because of processing times, because of a passport. Her training base at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, gives her some relief within Europe, where she can move relatively freely between tournaments on the continent without the same level of visa disruption. But the moment she steps outside the European zone, the barriers return in full force. Every trip to Australia, every flight to the United States, every journey to the United Kingdom for Wimbledon, every visit to China during the Asian Swing, all of it requires the full visa application process again and again, season after season, without exception. And while she is sitting in waiting rooms and gathering documentation, her competitors are on court, training, and preparing for matches she might not even be able to enter. Now let us talk about what this means commercially, because this is where the story gets even bigger and the stakes become truly staggering. Alex Eala's online presence and marketability are operating at a level that is almost absurd for a player ranked in the top 40. The engagement she generates is superstar level. The community she has built around Filipino tennis is one of the most passionate and loyal fan bases in the sport. Tournament executives have openly acknowledged that her presence drives attention, engagement, and global interest at events wherever she competes. By every metric that matters to sports marketing, visibility, engagement, emotional connection, global reach, she is a premium commodity. And yet, when you look at her current endorsement portfolio in 2026, it tells a different story. Her confirmed sponsors include Globe Telecom, Nike, Babolat, Bank of the Philippine Islands, and several major Filipino brands. These are meaningful partnerships, and she should be proud of them. But when you compare her commercial footprint to European players ranked in the same 30 to 45 range on the WTA Tour, the gap is striking. Players from France, Germany, Italy, and Spain at similar ranking levels frequently carry luxury global deals with brands like Rolex, Porsche, Lacoste, and other multinational companies that have deep roots in the European sports ecosystem. Why the difference? Because global brands that want to activate sponsorships through athlete appearances, photo shoots in different cities, pop-up events, and spontaneous partnership opportunities need one thing above all else: flexibility. They need to know that when they call, their athlete can show up. When they plan a campaign shoot across 3 countries in 2 weeks, they need the logistics to work. And when a Filipino athlete's ability to move freely across the globe depends on weeks of embassy processing and uncertain visa timelines, global brands hesitate. It is not a conspiracy, it is not discrimination, it is just the uncomfortable reality of how commercial sports deals work in practice. The internet has already picked up on this gap, and its reaction is telling. Multiple viral posts and social media discussions about massive fake endorsement deals have circulated online. Imaginary multi-million-dollar Wilson contracts, fabricated Emirates sponsorship announcements, invented luxury brand partnerships that never actually happened. And the reason these fake stories spread so quickly and so widely is because they feel true to people who follow Alex Eala. Her cultural impact is already operating at superstar scale. The public instinctively believes that someone generating the kind of attention she generates should already be earning at that level. The fact that she is not yet fully there reflects a commercial gap that is very real, and the passport issue is a significant underappreciated part of why that gap exists. But here is the part of this story that should genuinely chill every Filipino sports fan to the bone, because the Philippines has already been through this exact situation before. Not in tennis, in golf, and it ended in a way that broke the country's heart, or at least it should have. Her name is Yuka Saso. If you are a Filipino sports fan, that name already means something deep to you. Yuka Saso was born in San Ildefonso, Bulacan, to a Filipina mother and a Japanese father. She grew up playing golf in the Philippines, won a double gold for the country at the 2018 Asian Games, and in 2021, still representing the Philippines, she did something no Filipino athlete in the history of golf had ever done. She won the United States Women's Open. She was the first Filipino ever to capture a major championship in professional golf. The entire country exploded with joy. She was celebrated as the future of Philippine sports, the athlete who would inspire a generation, the proof that Filipinos could compete at the absolute apex of global athletics. She was, in every meaningful sense, the Alex Eala of her era. And then, less than a year later, Yuka Saso chose to represent Japan and gave up her Philippine citizenship. When she explained her decision, she was remarkably direct about it. She said that the main reason for choosing Japanese citizenship was the passport and the ease of travel it provides. She said that time management is very important for athletes and her team, and that traveling as much as they do made the Japanese passport a practical necessity for her career. Her management team confirmed it in a written statement, saying that Japan offers a far less restrictive passport that enables Yuka to travel around the world without applying for a visa, and that due to the nature of her job and the amount of travel required, this switch was necessary. The Philippines did not lose Yuka Saso because she stopped loving her country. Nobody who listened to her speak, fighting back tears in Manila, talking about how she will always be Filipino in her heart, could doubt that she carried real love for the Philippines with her. The Philippines lost Yuka Saso because global sports rewards mobility, and mobility is controlled by passports. Overnight, her travel access jumped from roughly 65 countries to well over 190. More than 100 new destinations became instantly accessible without the bureaucratic burden she had been carrying her entire professional life. Less paperwork, less waiting, less risk, more freedom to train, compete, and win. And she went on to win a second United States Women's Open, this time representing Japan. The Philippines watched from the sidelines. Now look at where Alex Eala stands right now, and tell me you do not feel a chill running down your spine. She is the most exciting tennis talent the Philippines has ever produced. She is ranked inside the top 45 in the world, has reached a career high of number 29 on the WTA Tour, and is only 20 years old. She has beaten top 10 players, packed stadiums across the Middle East and the Americas, generated social media numbers that rival the sport's biggest stars, and become a symbol of Filipino excellence that transcends the sport. She is at the beginning of what should be the most important stretch of her professional career. The years between 20 and 25, when elite tennis players typically make their biggest leap, win their first major titles, and establish the ranking positions that define their legacy. And she is doing all of this while carrying the same structural disadvantage that already pushed another Filipino superstar into making an impossible choice. To be absolutely clear, because this matters enormously, Alex Eala has stated publicly and repeatedly that she does not want to leave. In interviews with Front Office Sports and On the Serve podcast, She has spoken with genuine emotion about the connection she feels with Filipino fans around the world. She has described the energy and passion of the Filipino community as something irreplaceable, something that fills her with pride and motivation every time she steps on a court. She has said that the love and support she receives from Filipinos has been a testament to something truly special, and there is no reason whatsoever to doubt her sincerity. She clearly, deeply means it. She has worn her Philippine identity on her sleeve from the very beginning. Speaking Tagalog during her victory speech at the 2022 U.S. Open Junior Championship, using Filipina on court during matches, embracing the responsibility of being the first and only Filipina in the WTA main draw wherever she plays. Her love for her country is not a marketing strategy. It is real. But that global athletic life eventually made the decision very hard to ignore. This is not a prediction about what Alex Eala will do. This is a warning about the invisible costs she is already paying every single season, just to continue representing her country under a system that was never designed with Filipino athletes in mind. Think about everything that those costs actually add up to over time. Every ranking point that was potentially lost because a last-minute wildcard could not be reached in time. Every training session sacrificed to embassy appointments and visa paperwork. Every sponsor meeting held over a video call instead of in person because the visa timeline made flying impossible. Every emerging global partnership that required a face-to-face presence she could not guarantee. None of these losses appear in a stat sheet. None of them show up next to her name in the WTA rankings. They do not make headlines. They do not generate social media outrage. But they accumulate, quietly and relentlessly, season after season, creating a silent tax on her career that her competitors from passport-privileged countries never have to pay. While Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, and Elena Rybakina move seamlessly from tournament to tournament without thinking twice about paperwork. Alex Eala is doing the extra work in the margins just to have the same access to the same opportunities that everyone else on the tour takes for granted. And there is a broader systemic dimension to this story that goes even deeper than one player's individual experience. Alex Eala reached the WTA Tour not just because of extraordinary talent and discipline, though she has both of those in abundance. She reached it because her family had the specific combination of resources, international connections, and financial capacity needed to navigate a system that the Philippines has never properly built support structures to sustain. Her mother held a senior executive role at Globe Telecom. Her uncle chaired the Philippine Sports Commission. Her family could absorb the costs of international travel, absorb the logistical complexity of visa processing.
What really happened in that room? And why did the internet explode when the truth finally surfaced? It happened quietly. No cameras, no PR team, no formal announcement.